afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, Thursday, June 20th, where we saw the Nasdaq finally snapping its long winning streak. You know, Ken, we said things were getting extended and that we were due for a pullback, so we finally had a down day.
Finally got a down day for the Nasdaq, yeah, and a little bit of volume behind the selling today, so we're probably going to see a rare distribution day for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. But let's take a look at three stocks today. There's a name in China that I've been watching called Kanzhun. Symbol is BZ. Also want to take a look at insurance giant Chubb, CB, and finally Palantir, which had some news today. Got pulled down with the broad market, but still looks pretty good here.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Okay, well, we will get to those stocks, but first let's take a look at the major indexes. The Nasdaq today down 0.8% by session's close. A much milder decline for the S&P 500, down just 0.25% today. Came right up to that 5,500 level that we've been talking about. It was a mixed day. So we did have the Dow on the upside, up about 0.8%. And rounding things out, here's a look at the Russell 2000, down 0.4%. That 50-day line, still a problem here, but let's start with the Nasdaq. Ken, your thoughts on the severity of the decline today? Should we be expecting more weakness here, or are things still looking good for those who have been riding this power trend higher?
Yeah, I mean, it's the market is definitely getting trickier. I think we discussed that on IBD Live this morning. You're dealing with a lot of extended stocks, seeing some isolated buy opportunities here and there. But yeah, conditions are getting a little challenging. Nasdaq dealing with that round number of 18,000. Hasn't touched it yet, but you know, that could be an area where we could finally see some consolidation here. Did see some heavy volume on the Nasdaq. You can see that. So this is going to be, you know, what's known as a distribution day, a higher volume decline, and a lot of growth stocks under pressure today. You know, lots of names down 3, 2, 3, 4%. So definitely watching the action in leading growth stocks. But you know, one day of weakness is not gonna kill this uptrend. We'll see what Friday has in store.
Right. And I mentioned the power trend, and a lot of that looks at where we are versus the 21-day and if that's in an uptrend. And it is right now. So right now to the downside, keeping tabs on that. We're currently about 2.8% above that level. Now, we don't want to have a 2.8% decline in one day, but Ken, to your point, if we get some consolidation over the last couple of weeks where, you know, maybe we come in a little bit, the 21-day also comes up a little bit to meet where we're at, that wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
No, not at all. No, not a bad thing at all. And I would say that you know, we're at a point. The Nasdaq has seen very little in the way of higher volume declines here. So we, you know, got our first higher volume decline today. You know, market uptrends are generally going to have a lot of problems when you see distribution days start to cluster. So you know, that means maybe we get 3 or 4 of them over, say, you know, 7 to 10 days. You just start to see a lot of them happening over a short amount of time. So today we got one on the Nasdaq. It's not again any reason to head for the exits. We did trim a couple of winners on leaderboard today. Just raised a little bit more cash, but still a lot to like about this uptrend. It's just that you know, we've been the Nasdaq got quite extended from that 50-day moving average, and it's a little closer to it now. But market probably needs a little time to digest these gains, and I know a lot of stocks could use some time to digest gains as well.
Oh yeah, that is for sure. Heading into today, speaking of the 50-day line, we were 8.2% above that level. And one of the reasons why we were saying that we could be due for some sort of pause or pullback here. So we'll have to see, like you said, what tomorrow brings. Let's talk about the S&P 500, Ken. Your thoughts here, not quite as extended as the Nasdaq was getting, but still on the stretched side of things.
Yeah, and then bumping up against that 5,500 level. It was interesting. We've been complaining about market breadth on up days for the market. We've seen these nice gains for the major averages, yet we're just seeing very weak breadth today. We had a kind of a decisive down day for the market, and breadth was actually okay. So go figure. Just barely negative on both exchanges. So on a day that saw the Nasdaq lose quite a bit of ground, and the S&P as well. Not too bad, but breadth was just barely negative on both exchanges. Oil and gas stocks helped buoy the S&P 500 today. Financial stocks, as well.
Yeah, so here's a look at XLE up 1.8% on the day. XLF up 0.5%, but getting above some key levels that we've been watching with that downtrend line. Let's also talk about the Dow. What fueled the Dow's gains today, Ken?
It was basically large cap tech. It was mostly Salesforce, CRM, which was the Dow's best gainer today. You can see it was up about 4%, but a stock that has really been taken apart lately had that weak earnings report where it gapped below the 200-day moving average. So probably call this a dead cat bounce here. A nice technical move with some volume, but Salesforce is still going to have quite a bit of overhead supply to work through. If it's going to rally back and start to retest those prior highs, it could meet some selling pressure if it continues to rally. So I don't think Salesforce is actionable here. It was the best performer by far in the Dow today.
Yeah, and Amazon also in the Dow now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up 1.8% today. So that was a notable mover there as well.
I think IBM as well in the Dow that at one point was holding. Yeah, that was up 2%, and kind of an interesting technical move for IBM too, as it moves above its 50-day moving average. But same type of thing, just like Salesforce, pretty sharp pullback down close to that 200-day moving average. If it is going to continue to rally back, it's going to have to fight through a lot of overhead supply, and that's sometimes a tough nut to crack.
Right. And we looked at XLE and XLF. Let's take a look at XLU, Ken. Utilities, notable move here as well. We saw that nice run up in April and early May, followed by an orderly pullback to the key 50-day line, which we're now getting some sort of a bounce.
Yeah. So the utilities did well today, and this was just a pullback to the 50-day moving average. So this uptrend still looks like it's intact to me. So another area of outperformance in the market today.
Okay, well, let's take a look at ticker BZ, which you wanted to highlight today, Ken, out of China in the Internet Content Group, up 1.5%. And getting back above its 50-day line.
Yeah, it's way too early to say if there's going to be a meaningful rotation going on in the market today. So, like I said, we had financials, utilities, and oil and gas stocks outperforming. There's not a whole lot of leadership right now among China stocks, but there are some companies like BZ that have excellent fundamentals and are still in pretty good technical setups here. So, this was an orderly pullback to the 50-day moving average on the weekly chart here. You can see it's kind of pulling back to the 10-week line. Back to the daily chart, this is a stock that is not only finding support at the 50-day, and you look back over the past 3 or 4 days how tightly the stock traded right near that $20 level. So it had a little mini breakout today. Still going to try to break out over a trend line here. Hasn't quite done it yet, but I like the fact that it is possibly trying to retest that 2132 entry, trying to reclaim it. So this is a stock I think in China that's worth paying attention to. They basically provide online recruitment services, and you can see great earnings and revenue here, and pretty decent technical setup.
Yeah, we've got triple-digit bottom line growth the last 2 quarters and solid double-digit top line growth here as well. Next on the list, let's take a look at ticker CB in the insurance space. If we're seeing financials back in focus, money rotating into insurance stocks, Ken, looks like CB had a nice day today.
Yeah, and quite a few insurance stocks had nice days today. So it's just a matter of which one I wanted to talk about. But Chubb had a nice breakout here over the 260 level, ran up to 275, and then it just started to pull back here. So I like the way the stock is pulling back. It's actually back in a buy zone from that last base breakout, and it's also like BZ close to breaking out over a trend line here. So didn't have much volume in Chubb today, but insurance stocks could be interesting here if tech starts to get a little rocky. Maybe it's going to be financials and insurance companies that is going to see some money flow. I think it's still too early to say, but a lot of insurance companies and financials rallied today, and this is a pretty good pullback. And also a relatively new holding of Warren Buffett has a $6.7 billion stake in Chug, and he disclosed that at Berkshire Hathaway's last shareholder meeting. So big Buffett holding here, and fundamentals are there, and the technicals are in place as well.
Okay, last but not least, let's check in on Palantir. 2 strong up days in a row, was trying to work on yet another Ken, but reversed lower today by about 1%. But back in focus here, a little bit of a wild base. We had that gap down on earnings in early May, but the stock shaping up once again and on news. As you mentioned.
Yeah, I mentioned this on IBD Live. They did some sort of AI software deal with the Starlab commercial space station, which hasn't launched yet, and they're saying it's not going to launch until the absolute earliest 2028, 2029. But Palantir is going to be providing some AI software to the Starlab commercial space station, and I'm like the action today, because as this stock was coming up the right side, and you did mention this is a far from perfect pattern here, but the down day today, yeah, it did come in heavy volume, but there were a lot of growth stocks under pressure. But if this if volume can quiet down and it can drift lower and form a handle here, you'd still have to call Palantir a breakout candidate. So I think this is a good one for the watch list. It was running up pretty quickly to that recent high of just over 27. Maybe it pulls back here near the 25 level and forms a little handle, and then maybe this thing can get moving again. But like the fundamentals, and technicals, not great, but not bad either.
Yeah, it's a wild stock, and you just have to know the personality of it when you're getting into it, right? If you do decide that it is right for you, or something worth putting money to work in.
Yeah, very, very important to understand a stock's trading personality. It really runs the gamut. Some stocks tend to trade wild, and Palantir is guilty of that sometimes. But again, good management team, good fundamentals, good product here. So in an uptrending market, names like this can do well, but always just good to know what kind of stock you're buying. Is it prone to volatile price swings or not?
Right. Yeah, a good one for the radar. No doubt. All right. Thank you, Ken. And thanks everyone for tuning in. That is it from us for today. But just want to let you know that IBD is having school in session this Saturday, chart school. That is a lot of traders who are familiar with IBD are familiar with our chart school home study program. And we now are doing a new one, all new content with our very own Mike Webster alongside Charles Harris, portfolio manager at O'Neill Global Advisors. That's going down this weekend. And you can sign up at workshops.investors.com. If you can't make it live, signing up also gets you access to the recording. So visit workshops.investors.com for the full agenda if you are interested. That is it for today. And coming up tomorrow morning on IBD Live, we have Mark Ritchie, who works with Mark Minervini at Minervini Private Access. Always love getting his take on the market, stocks he's watching. And we've gotten a little stretched here, so we'll get his breakdown on where we stand with things tomorrow morning, investors.com/IBD Live for all those details. We'll see you then. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.